Welcome fathers who are looking to inspire their kids and become fearless. This is the Become a Fearless Father show and I'm your host, Klaas van Oosterhout. I'm a father of 2 boys, husband and entrepreneur. This show is created to teach you how to take control and enjoy the most difficult job you've ever faced, fatherhood. I'm going to keep it real and share real life experience. A heads up, there is no magic pill. You will have to put in the hours, sweat and tears to achieve victory. Are you ready to improve your health, wealth, relationships, knowledge and become the hero your family needs you to be? I know you are. So get your pen and paper ready and let's become fearless fathers together. Welcome everybody. Man, I am so excited. I'm live with my friend Dan Williams, fellow Killer Instinct 3 participant with Niji Sobo. We had a blast. We went through a rough ride together. We had tons of fun, tons of, new experiences, new learnings, etc., etc. We actually tried to do this live interview. It's actually a funny story. Like right when I just started Become a Fearless Father, which is 4 months ago, right in the summer, we're just trying to, both of us push it and then both like, yeah, this is not working. So now we're actually at number 15 and here we are. So Dan, thanks so much, man. I'm really happy that I get the opportunity for an hour to pick your brain and share all the information because for me, you are a huge example as a just fearless person of training and the way you are just being with your sons is just fantastic. We're going to talk all about that. So first of all, Dan, just, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you've been up to, etc., etc.
Cool. Cheers, Klaas. Thanks for having me. So I'm Dan. I'm 38. I've got 2 boys. One is 6 and the other's 18 months. I broke up with my wife in about February, I think, or maybe in January actually. So that's gone by in a heartbeat. We still have our ups and downs. So I was pretty much the instigator of that for my actions. Nothing I'm proud of at all. But had to make a decision what was right for us, what was right for the family. Since then, we've just been co-parenting and we've really balanced that really well. We homeschool, which is cool. So it's predominantly my wife doing that while I work full time. I'm a sales director at a manufacturer, so it's quite a lot of responsibility. That's Monday to Friday. And then most evenings I get home, in fact, every evening, unless I'm working away one of the evenings. I'm actually back home by 6 in the evening with the boys. Tend to be with them till about 8:30, 8 o'clock, and then come home, and then I'll be doing the training, cracking on with that, then doing my own work, my own little part of the business that I'm trying to create, and then repeat, and I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. So my wife does all that, and then at the weekends, I pick up, the eldest stays with me on the Friday, pick up my youngest son in the morning on the Saturday, we spend the day together, drop the youngest back because he's still breastfeeding, we drop him back at about 7:30. I'm with Bear in the evening, then we pick up Rain back in the morning, and we have all day Sunday, and then at about 4 o'clock on the Sunday, the boys go back, and then I can crack on and do my stuff. Hence why this time now works. Trying to fit it in anywhere else. So.
Yeah, exactly. I really appreciate that because I know what an incredibly busy schedule you have with both working, the kids, and also trying to set up your business. So I really appreciate that. We're going to dive right in. And as you know, man, I got huge respect for the way you handle things and the way you just building everything, man. You are, for me, like one of the reasons why I'm doing this, but you're also, again, one of the examples of what I vision for a fearless father to walk the path and then really get there. So props, man. I really enjoy this and I hope, we're going to learn tons from you. So it's awesome. Hey, listen, man. So first of all, 2 sons, Rain and Bear. I've watched a lot of videos. I really enjoyed it. I've even watched that video and I think it's such an important thing, man. Your little boy already on YouTube, just doing his thing, man. I mean, for us, it's like, what's he talking about? For kids, I'm assuming that's awesome. And the way he presents himself is just amazing. Let's go into that a little bit further later on. So I got 2 boys. They're also a little bit, apart, just like yours.
So I'm just wondering, first of all, because it's not easy. You just mentioned one's still getting breastfed, the other one's already doing his thing and everything. How do you go about raising both of these two kids at the same time while they are apart? They have that different age group, they have that different development. How do you set that up? How do you organize that?
Well, it's my wife that has to do more of the organising, to be quite honest, because she has them all day on the Monday to Friday. And I think the sheer fact that we're working together still and we're really co-parenting, that's what we wanted to actually call it. We don't want to call it separated or anything like that. We really are working as a team with regards to parenting. The fortunate thing with that is during the day, my wife doesn't have to split her time up between taking the boy to school, taking him not to school, etc. So we really just want to give them as many opportunities as possible. So, for instance, Bear he does football, parkour, karate, boxing, gymnastics, drama, forest school, incredible farm. He does all this stuff, and he's been doing that at a really young age. And Rain's lucky enough; he's coming along with that now. And Rain, I thought Bear was a determined boy, but Rain is his determination is second to none. That's absolutely breathtaking. So really, with regards to planning the day, I plan every other part of my day around what my boys do. So it's all very much about, and it's the same with the homeschooling. We wanted it to be very, very much child-led. So it's intuitive. So everything they want to do is down to them. So for me, everything else I do around a weekend is geared around being present for 8, 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, right to the evening until Bear's in bed and asleep, and then I can do my stuff around that. So all my training, etc., is second. And then we really led. So we do a lot of swimming, we do a lot of reading together. We're doing that as a team. So it's it probably sounds a little bit more daunting than it is, but we're really just going with the flow. So yesterday we were out in the woods pretty much all afternoon, and we're just learning through play. Everything's intuitive. So we don't follow a curriculum as such. I know a lot of people ask me that question, but they're learning through play massively. So they both want to read. Rain's trying to read. We'll hold a book upside down. He thinks he's reading, and he'll come out with some words. But we're just going with their passion. The YouTube thing's interesting. I want to learn from him. He's much more of a natural in front of the camera than me. But that's because Michelle does exactly the same. So yeah, they're both a bit of an inspiration, to be quite honest. Rain's doing the same. He can look at cameras now, and he's loving it. So it's good to see you doing your thing.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Well, in regards to the YouTube thing, and I told you last time, I had an amazing live interview with Sean Cannell from Think Media. He just came out with his book, YouTube Secrets. You don't know this guy, Julian Hayes, is with me on the High Performance Club with Niji Sobo, and he listened to it and he was absolutely raving about it. He said it was a fantastic interview. The guys dropped so many bombs. He actually bought the book as well. So man, you like to do stuff with your kids, I just suggest watch that with your kids. Especially with Barry, he's going to learn tons and he's going to apply it. The strategy that he follows is the 7 C's, and it will help Barry, it will help you. So, but that aside, man, you're talking about determination and you know, them being intuitive. I'm just wondering, in regards to the determination, because I'm assuming as well because most parents probably look at you weird, like, what are you doing? Because it's so different than what most people just generally do. You know, you wake up, you bring your kids to school, you pick them up, and you're happy that you left them there for as long as possible, right? You, however, just saying that you focus on them completely the whole time and let them also just decide on what they want to do. However, I'm wondering, and maybe other parents as well, isn't that then... isn't there a possibility that they're just going to say, look, I just want to lay on the couch and I'm fine doing nothing? How does that work? And how is it possible that Bear, like, how did you guys come so far that Bear just wants to do all that stuff? Like, I saw him with you on the Ironman. I think you said that he ran like a kilometer with all the other kids, even giving high fives to other. It's like, it's just amazing. How did that come about? How did you do that?
I think this is where I get amazing. Like, as human natures, we're just we're learning creatures. We literally, everyone just wants to learn new things and they want to develop all the time. So I'm absolutely blessed in the fact that I've got 2 boys that definitely like following my footsteps and they're really active and doing stuff. But I don't know any kids that would genuinely want to lie around and do nothing all day. The reason why some children will probably look like they want to lie down and do nothing all day is because they've been at school 9 to 4, 9 to 3. They're learning stuff. They're getting talks out. Although there's a load of different things that I have about school. Probably won't go into that right now. But there's a lot of reasons why we do home educate. But so they've got that going on all day. They get home and they want to just probably chill out, zone out, do something they're passionate about. And in some instances, that's playing the Xbox and doing Minecraft, just being on the iPad. You see the videos of Bear out with me and Rain out with me down the park, swimming or climbing, running. I mean, I'm really passionate about what I do in my free time, and that's why I'm willing to put all the hours in around it to achieve something quite special. But my kids see that. I've got my treadmill in here. I've got my bike in my lounge. They see me on it. They want to get on the treadmill. They want to do that all the time. So it's really, they just want to learn, dude. So the big thing is, once they're passionate about something, then you can just run with that and they can learn through that. So Bear, from a quite young age, he's been really into Minecraft, so much so that we've gone through our ups and downs thinking, has he spent too much time on the iPad? Does he spend too much time on his Xbox? But he's come around the house this weekend. He's asked not to bring the Xbox. He doesn't want that. He's had the iPad if he needs it. But we've been doing Lego. We've been swimming. We've been down the woods, like I say. He's not interested in doing that right now. But the stuff he's learned, for me, I had to really get myself comfortable with Minecraft. But since he's been playing Minecraft, his math, it blows my mind. He's doing multiplication, he's doing subtraction, he's learning symmetry, it's like engineering. He can build things that completely blow my mind. He wanted to learn to read so he can see what the pop-ups on the screen say. He wants to write his own signs. He does all that. Then he watches his mum writing in the journals all the time and writing things down. I have whiteboards up all around the house. He just wants to write and he just wants to mimic what we're doing. But equally, if he has got any passion, we'll run with it. And so I think if you can get yourself comfortable with that, well, I had a big debate over dinner the other evening with a customer and with one of my bosses. Apparently they put a lot of value on education, so they can't believe what I'm doing. Because of course I'm not educating my kids. It's just crazy. It's just education for me doesn't have to be 9 to 5 and confined to a certain space. It can be open. I mean, school works for so many people. It's amazing. But Michelle and I wanted to do something in a different way. And so far, it's working a treat. I mean, that being said, if Bear wanted to be a solicitor or a doctor, and he tells us that one day, there's only one route to becoming a solicitor or a doctor or a lawyer. You've got to go down the formal education route and get all those qualifications and learn. But now, you've got knowledge at your fingertips. You can learn anything. So the fact that he can now navigate his self around YouTube, and if he's interested in ancient Egypt, which he goes through stages, he's now going back into football again. He likes mythology. He just likes learning. So we just roll with it. I mean, you can do maths, English, reading, writing, arithmetic. You can do all that with anything that they love doing. So providing you've got that about yourself and you want to do it that way, for me, it's pretty simple and straightforward.
Exactly. That's great. You mentioned a big thing, and I have the feeling a little bit that you slipped through it a little bit. Sometimes feel you're a very humble man, but you mentioned something very important. It's like you lead by example, and so does your ex-wife. It's like you're that sports person, outgoing. You do stuff. You show what it's like, and what you said is very important for people to realize. Your kids mimic, which also means that if your kids feel like they want to lay on the couch and you're like, man, they never want to do anything. And then you're actually saying that to yourself while you're laying on the couch, not doing anything. What do you expect? You know what? I got to say this story also. It's been burning on my mind. I actually want to do a podcast on it, but you're here now.
Just have to just really quickly. There's nothing wrong with laying on the couch. We all do it.
Oh, of course. There's time for everything, right?
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true. Hey, sorry for the interruption. I know you're really enjoying the show. Just want to make sure if you're liking this information, please subscribe and press the like button. And also go visit becomeafearlessfather.com. You get the opportunity to share your biggest challenge at the moment as a father, and it gives me the opportunity to try and help you overcome this.
Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Listen, I think sometimes fathers forget, or, we are the biggest example to them. And I actually heard a story here in Madrid that a father hit a teacher, right? And the reason for that was that his baby daughter, just got punished. Guess why she got punished? For hitting other kids. So she hit another kid, got punished, came outside, hit another kid, got punished again, had a note, had to give it to her father, gave the father the note. The father saw the note and then decided to hit the teacher for punishing his daughter. And then we're wondering why our kids do what they do. It's like, wow. So, yeah.
They're learning creatures.
Yeah, which is, it gives you a lot of responsibility, and people seem to forget that. And that's, sometimes it can go really, really bad. In your case, absolutely, it's going fantastic. I've been loving to join the ride with you for what you share on Facebook. Hey, listen, I'm wondering if you also have this problem. Because one of the biggest things, and it's still very good, I saw you guys already with jackets on and stuff like that. We're still walking here, look, t-shirts, shorts. It's hot as hell here still in Spain. And we still enjoy so much going to the park. And, this is great. However, the problem is that other parents do not have the same high standards as I do, especially when it comes to health and giving the kids candy and all that kind of stuff. And it keeps just freaking blowing my mind. But the thing is that the kids see that and they want that because it's sugar and it's nice and they love it and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just wondering, what's your philosophy in regards to health and energy, and how do you go about teaching, this to your kids? How do you make this a reality so your sons live a healthy and energetic life?
We've got quite a controversial approach to this as well. So, with regards to our outlook and understanding with the kids, we're really lucky. So if we were out of the team, me and Michelle, I'm very much the active one. I'm sporty. I love everything to do with just being active. So my kids get to see that, but equally so, I'm probably, I'm definitely not the normal level of active. I don't lay down on the sofa very well, to be quite honest. Whereas my wife, she's a lot more spiritual, so they get to see that side from her, and she looks at the spiritual health and your connection. So through Michelle and Bear, they teach me a lot. The stuff that Bear brings to me is phenomenal. Michelle's she's the one that got me into reading, not as soon as I should have done, but she's very much down that route, writing, and she's a lot more in tune with herself than I am, to be quite honest. I can bury my head in the sand and just crack on and go for a run. But with regards to health, so I think that part of the health, the whole holistic, if you look at it that way, Bear and Rain, they're so balanced. They know how to relax and chill out, and they can be full on and they're active. But it's really good balance. With regards to the food side, I eat very, very very clean, very healthy. A lot to do with the sport that I've chosen to do and what I'm pursuing there. But a lot of it's also laziness. My wife likes cooking meals, and will often say my ex-wife is into cooking meals and things like that. So Michelle. Whereas I'd rather eat raw food, cook up some fish or some chicken and eat that. But it's really healthy. But that's more through just laziness rather than anything else. But so the boys both love fruit. I genuinely believe you can't have enough fruit. The sugars are completely different, so we can go down that route. Equally said, so they eat all that. They eat the meat, they eat the fish, they eat all the fruit. Bear, Rain not so much, but Bear loves his sweets, loves his chocolate. This is the controversial bit. So we don't limit his chocolate intake. We don't limit. He doesn't have fizzy drinks. He doesn't like fizzy drinks. I don't like fizzy drinks. Michelle doesn't like fizzy drinks. That never features. It's not fruit juice. It's always water. On the odd occasion, maybe squash. So we've got that bit that looks after itself. But with regards to the sweets and the chocolate, if he'd like some chocolate, we get chocolate. We don't want to make it a taboo. We've been to so many parties, and myself, when I was growing up, my parents firmly restricted me. So as soon as I had my dinner money, all I'd ever buy on the way to school would be donuts, chocolate, crisps, junk food. And I was not alone. It was every single child on that bus on the way to school. So people just don't limit and they gorge on it. And then when they get home, we don't have you're not getting down from the table unless you finish your food. I eat non-stop throughout the day and snack and eat throughout the day. I'm a massive grazer. Michelle's a bit more, probably from time, to be quite honest, trying to fit that in around being with the boys literally all day. So she sets her some meal times and she'll eat and she'll get her fuel. But the boys will have bananas, they'll have melon, they'll have fruit, they love peanut butter, they love all that sort of stuff. And they're just eating it non-stop. On the odd occasion, Bear wants chocolate bar, he has his chocolate bar. If he wants some sweets, have his sweets. But he can go time without having it. And if you go to a party, he doesn't get presented with a bowl of ice cream or a muffin and feel the need to devour it like he's not going to get it ever again. He'll just pick at it, have a couple of bits, and then he'll go. If he has a chocolate bar, unless Rain's after it, then he'll eat it all. Just to stop Rain having it. But if he's in his own mind and his own world and he can eat his chocolate at his leisure, he doesn't always eat all the chocolate. But we don't limit any of that. We just want them to be in tune with what they're doing. Bear's lean. He's at it all the time. He's getting his energy. Equally, he has to get his energy from somewhere. He doesn't eat a lot, so maybe he does need the sugar. So that's our approach to it. It's a controversial one. It's working, and they're both healthy and they're both thriving. So, touch wood. It'll all be good in the end.
Exactly. But yeah, that's great advice. Just trying to find that balance, and especially not take something away. So when he does get it presented, they go all crazy and stuff. Well, I am blessed.
Intuitive eating class. Similar to the learning, they wanted to do that. They know what they need at times. When they're both, it's so apparent when your boys are going through growth spurts. Leading up to that growth spurt, they'll frustrate you because you give them the same portion size every single time. If you go down this route, same portion size at meal time, they might pick at it and have nothing, and then parents are getting frustrated. And then if they're taught to literally eat everything on their plate, which I'm sure stems from war times when we don't really know when we're going to have food to eat again. Eat everything on your plate. Then they're not even listening to the body. The amount of kids that I'm full up, and we're trying to tell them, no, you're not, you're not. It's like, who knows their body better than they know their body? So when they go through the growth spurts, that portion won't even be enough. They'll need 2 portions, and they'll be eating, and I'll be in the kitchen, making it in the kitchen, and some days I'll make something and it doesn't get done. But that's just parenting, isn't it? So it definitely doesn't frustrate me, and I genuinely don't mind. Just having options in the house. I think we have almost every fruit that you can buy in the UK propped up somewhere in the house.
Nice. Yeah, that's great advice. The great thing is that my oldest one now, when somebody presents something like a snack, at least he comes and asks me if he can. And I became more relaxed because, well, you knew that Larry Hagner came on the show.
Yeah.
Head's Edge, and he actually mentioned to me, dude, you can't fight every single battle, and then you have to just think, is that the most important battle that you have to fight? I was like, nah, not really. I was just wondering, how other people do it, so I can learn from that. So I became more relaxed and just like, actually the other day I brought 12 of those, big eggs, chocolate eggs with a surprise in it, and just had them give it away. The biggest problem at the moment eating unhealthy is when we are at his grandma's house, which we are at the moment. As you can see, I'm not home.
Okay.
I didn't turn religious all of a sudden.
I didn't think it looked familiar. I wasn't sure where you were at though.
Yeah, no, I'm at my mother-in-law's house. She fell yesterday. She broke her wrist.
Oh no.
And we had to go here real quick. And then it's the good thing. I got an online project going on, online business, and we can, as long as there's internet, I can go wherever I want.
Amazing.
So we're here to support her, which is good. And the kids.
That's quite a hard thing. I think when we used to go to Michelle's parents quite a lot, they'd have drawers full of confectionery, more so than a sweet shop, I think, at times. But and their grandparents, they like treating your kids. Here's the thing: we don't want sweets to be a treat. Otherwise, you're gonna make them really desirable. That's the point. A holiday can be a treat. Like, you really want to go on holiday. If you start defining sweets as being treats, then when I hear parents talking about McDonald's being a treat, I'm just like, oh, that's a treat when you put something terribly unhealthy inside your child. So I'd rather start calling an apple a treat and making that a bit more desirable. But no, we don't have it. The big thing for me is if you've got stuff in the house, if I bought a pack of 6 chocolate bars and they're in the house and Bear's in the mood for a chocolate bar and he then finds out I've got another 5 chocolate bars, if he wanted to eat all 5 chocolate bars and go for it, I genuinely, because they're in the house, I wouldn't say no. It's his house as much as it is my house. And I'm the responsible one. I should be buying them. Or at least put them somewhere where he doesn't know there's another 5. So I'm trying to take ownership of that myself.
Exactly. Well, that's actually a powerful message. I've never thought about that. I felt a light going off in my head. Don't make sweets to be a treat. That's freaking, it's so simple, but it's ingenious actually. And that's exactly what we are doing. Like,
well, it works when you're training a dog, doesn't it? So
yeah, but that's the way
roll over, no, here you go.
I mean, our youngest one is he's being potty trained, and especially when he has to make shit, that's the biggest problem. He used to have the the wonderful timing of wanting to do that next to me, either right before or during my live interview. So I actually posted a video on that he stands there, and I even heard it fell on the floor. He's plop, and caca, caca. Oh, he's like, God. But we give him now. Well, I stopped it, but we were giving him like little, M&Ms, for example, if he then finally went on the toilet. So that you're actually reinforcing the fact that candy is a treat. So brilliant.
Yeah, you are, definitely.
Man, now I'm like, God, I'm such an idiot.
99% of the population do it, don't they? It's just, that's like just conditioned. Like, everyone just thinks it's a treat, but
No,
I don't know what. I would much rather say we'll go to the cinema if we do something cool, and that'll be the treat. I mean, even then, though, I'm going to drown them with popcorn and with M&Ms. So, I mean, it's all around you, isn't it? You just want them to be able to self-regulate. I think that's the important thing for me.
Exactly. Man, great. Thanks a lot. And that's why I love doing these live interviews, because every single one, there's like, I learned tons, but there's every single time there's just one big golden nugget that I take out of it and that I can apply directly. And this is one of them. So thanks. And we're still not done. We still got at least half an hour for people that are joining us. If you're joining us on Facebook, wonderful. Make sure you like it and share it. We still got half an hour to go with tons of questions. And if you have a question, then the only thing I can say is join us inside this group, because I cannot see what's going on Facebook. All right, so I was talking to you a little bit about my youngest one, and you also mentioned it. Your boys, I've seen them, they jump, they do insane things. I'm loving it. I also try to let my boys go. However, again, there's an age difference, things that Bear can do, Rain can't do yet. However, he wants to do it as well because his big brother is doing it. How do you cope with this, especially for yourself? Because we're so like, oh, that's so scary. You're trying to save them from possible hurt that might not even happen. I'm just wondering how you deal with that, and what's your message to other people? Because what I've seen so far in the park is that, man, I see some parents just running after the kids, just telling them, don't climb on that, don't do that, don't do this. And you just get anxious already, you just listen to them. And I can't even imagine how the kid gets. So what's your outtake on that?
It's been out there for ages, like, don't press the red button. Like, everyone wants to press the red button. So don't climb on that climbing frame. They're going to want to climb on that climbing frame. It's a power struggle, but equally it's just a trust thing. I mean, my wife isn't, so Michelle, my wife is such a habit. We are still married, so technically Michelle is still my wife. And I have no big dramas about it at all. But I've let, from ever since I can remember, Bear used to climb up the back of our staircase, and then he'd stand there and then jump when he knows I'm there. He'd jump at that point. He wouldn't jump or not. So ever since that day, I've let him climb on whatever he wants to climb on. Down the park, I mean, you're in quite a safe place. But yeah, you're right. I hear parents all the time, don't climb on that, you're too small. And they could be 5. And then I've got Rain, who at 12 months was climbing up the climbing frames. At 14 months, he's been holding onto the bars and swinging. Again, parents are just around it. As soon as if I was to put hands on him, he'd then not get used to what he's doing himself. So for me, it's just a trusting again. I think if I let him walk quite close to an edge, if we're on a path and it's a slippy bank on the side, I don't run after him. Keep away from the edge, because then he's going to be fearful about the edge. Bear hasn't got a fear of heights. Rain really hasn't got a fear of heights. They both like climbing, they like doing stuff. Yeah, definitely. Rain likes to copy Bear. He'll get frustrated if he can't climb like Bear. But here's the thing: if he can't climb up like Bear, I'm not going to suddenly pick him up and put it to the top. I may encourage him up and help him out, but there's a reason why he can't climb to that height, in my mind. So he can climb on a smaller rock, and then if he wants to jump off a smaller rock, he can jump off. Mankind wouldn't have walked close to a cliff and then just kept walking and walking unless someone told him to stop. It's just not going to happen. We're not lemmings. We're not going to walk off edges. Equally, he could run into a road because we're just teaching him what a road is. But if he looks down and there's a sheer drop, he's not going to just walk off the edge. Similarly, a swimming pool, we've never had armbands. We don't do armbands at the swimming pool. We just want them to learn to swim and not be. Similarly, if you're down the park and you're just always reliant on your mum doing stuff and your dad doing stuff, it's going to be a problem. Just seeing kids bob around in a swimming pool, I don't see how that's really helping them. I mean, I'm sure armbands have their place. This is purely just my take on it. So they're getting their body position. Bear can swim. He's always told not to go too far, and then he has to demonstrate that he can swim to the deep end. And he jumps in the deep end, he touches the bottom. Rain does want to do that. So you have to limit how far you let them go. Rain's not allowed because he can't swim, so he can jump in. Then he gets cross to me for catching him. So then he tells me he wants to jump in and go under. So he's now jumping in the water and going under. However, he does just sink. So we're encouraging him to kick his legs up and keep doing stuff like that now. So again, with regards to food choices, time on technology, all this stuff, it's just coming down to trust again. And literally, it's probably sounding like I'm being a little bit irresponsible, but they've never had a broken bone, they've never injured themselves, they never get ill. They know what they're doing. Down the park, it's great. They're just. I would not want to instill fear. We could get enough fear just in social environments at the best of times. The last thing I'm going to start doing is, don't go on there, you're going to fall and break your neck. Like some parents do. It's like, oh, well, if they fall and break your neck, then you just put that in their head. Probably they're right. Don't go on that, you're going to hurt yourself. Don't go on there, you're going to fall and hit your head. It's just faith and trust. There's enough fears out there, isn't there? You don't want to instill fears in other people. So for me, it's if they start getting fearful of something on their own, I'll talk to them about it. There's been times when Bear's been on this big climbing frame because he thought he could just get to the top, and he will just hug it, and he's frozen. And then at that point, he says he's scared. And all I do at that point is let him have his minute, and then if he wants me to come and get him, I'll go and get him. But I guarantee about 10 minutes later, he'll be on it again, trying to go a little bit further than he did last time. But so it's trust from me, but he's got trust in. If he jumps from somewhere and says he's going to jump, he knows I'm going to catch him. If Rain can't communicate quite as effectively as Bear, so you have to really tune into it. And sometimes he can go ready, steady, and then suddenly you've got to look for the go because he's about to jump from somewhere, but you're never going to be far from him. So that's what it is. Just from what we were learning before, fears are crippling. So the last thing I want to do is actually start planting into their subconscious a load of fears that's a bit unnecessary.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a very powerful message. I must say that's one thing I did unconsciously as well, right from the beginning. Is like, look, man, you can't climb up the thing, you can't go down the thing. It's that simple. Because they all love going down the slides, and I told them, look, you can't go up and you can't go down because I'm not picking you up and putting you on that.
Why can't you go up the slide?
If you can't climb up it, if you're not strong enough to climb up it, then you can't go down. It's simple like that. That's the rule I always made. You climb up, then you can go down. If you can't go down because you're scared, then, we'll see what happens next. But yeah, I had them look at me like, yeah, pick me up and put me up there. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No way. Like, because he sees all the other parents, he's picking them up and putting them up there. It's like, yeah, what are you teaching them then? They're like, you're going to pick them up every single time? That's not really happening. So yeah, I appreciate that. I like the trust part really. That's great knowledge to share and make sure that people keep that in mind. You mentioned one thing, you trust them, and that's freaking fantastic. And we all should do that. But how about when there's situations, and I had this situation right before the summer started, where my oldest one had like a school party, end of the year school party, and had all these beautiful different, like, what do you call them, air castles?
Yep, bouncy castles.
Bouncy castles, that's it. And they're all different kinds. However, there was also a lot older kids, and they were kind of dominating the bouncy castle. But of course, our kid wants to be on there as well, and he got hurt, and nobody was paying attention a lot, especially the people that were supposed to pay attention weren't doing a very good job. So how do you deal with that as a parent? Like, where does the protective part come in, or do you just still let him find his own limits? And because as a parent, or at least if I search my own feelings, and I didn't respond at that time when it happened, but you still feel that urge of, you want to say something to the other bigger kid, you want to jump in there and rescue your own. What's your experience in there, or how do you handle these kind of situations?
I suppose it's different with Bear and with Rain. So if Rain's on, using that example, if Rain's jumping up and down on the bouncy castle, and some other children go on there and they're jumping around, and it's just that they're bigger and they're jumping and they're having heaps of fun, and Rain just ends up getting splashed around. If I can go and sit on it myself and just play around with him, that's fine. What I tend to do in that situation is they've always got that small little foot part leading up to it, so I can hold his hands and bounce around. So the fact that the bigger kids are there jumping around, and they're not looking out for the fact that there's an 18-month-old on there, I see that as my issue. It's definitely not two other children that have just gone on the bouncy castle because they just want to bounce around and have fun. So that's how I'd handle it that side. If Bear was on it and he's jumping around with them, it's all the same age, and they're getting more and more boisterous, which is what Bear does, and then he gets upset. Michelle's so much better than me. So this is what I'm really, really learning from her, even from Bear. I used to go for the distraction technique. So if Bear's getting really upset, I'd grab him out and run around, pull some faces, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Michelle will chat to him a lot more, which is what I do now. Understand the feelings. Did he get hurt? Where does it hurt? What do you want to do? Do you want to go back on? Do you want to have some fun again? And he'd always go back on and have some more fun again, and then repeat. If it gets too much, then I'd ask him if he wants to just go and take himself away from it. If there were kids, so I would definitely not speak to the kids because they're all just bouncing around having fun. If you got some kids on there that were pushing and shoving and taking it a little bit far, so verging on bullying, Bear's now confident enough that in that situation he'll often ask them to stop, because what they're doing is not nice. If at that point they continue to do it, it could go one or two ways. Bear has been known to push back a little bit, not very often. He'd probably get upset more than anything. He has a lot of empathy, just like Michelle. So he'd break down and be upset at that point. So at that point, as collecting him, I'd then just have a word with the kid and just say, "But it's not very nice. You just upset my boy. If you just don't want, next time kids come on there, probably not push them around. Just enjoy your jumping around." We're just trying to address it in that way. It's not for me to try and help them grow up, I guess, and help them understand what they're doing. That one little snippet's really not going to change a great deal, but if Bear knows what to do in certain situations, and again, that's a learning one. He's gaining more and more confidence in that setting. He's from the homeschooling. He has friends of lots of different ages. He's not confined to a set group of kids, and he's not going to school for the next 5 or 6 years with the same group of friends. So we're quite fortunate. If there was a group of people that we didn't like or Bear didn't like, we can take him out of that and we can go and join another group, so you don't have to worry about that situation so much. But with the things like boxing, with the things like karate, he's learning self-control and some discipline. And he used to be very, I'm not a shouter. I rarely raise my voice. Michelle, she knows how to use her voice very effectively. And Bear's now beginning to learn to use his voice a bit more. Because all the time you're literally taking it. So he can shout and say stop. Doesn't always stop, but that's how we can do it. Certainly, yeah, I know what it's like. I saw your video you put on a think it was yesterday, was it, when you were getting angry?
Yeah, that was a different situation.
I think you get more disappointed in certain situations where it's just the reason they're being like that's for, I don't know if it's attention, you don't know the reasons really, but he's found his voice, he's using it a lot more, he knows how to take himself away from situations. Sometimes the whole thing gets overwhelming and then it's about comforting, helping him to understand the emotions and not sweeping it aside, really literally just chatting to him, really understanding it. Historically, and if it wasn't for Michelle, I'd have definitely I'd have been the old school classic, come on, you've got a manner. Nothing to cry about here. It's like, there's plenty to cry about. I've just been pushed around on a bouncy castle and it won't let me get back on my feet. What are you talking about? It's that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely. That's the route I'd go down with that now. Easier said than done though.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're getting at. But that's, very powerful, very good for us fathers to realize, because for some reason we still want to be so manly, get hurt. Fuck up. Come on. What are you talking about? You're 5 or 6. Let's go, man. You gotta man up and handle this like a man. Like, dude, he's 5. That's
you hear it all the time. When Bear was doing his running race, it was you could hear, "What are you doing? Slowing down!" Like, and Bear's just running around, high fiving. He's enjoying every minute. Other kids are like getting to the finish line, feeling emotionally beaten up. Meeting Jiggy was one of the best things. I mean, that whole vulnerability is dope movement. That's what it's all about. So it really is just letting your guard down and just exploring the emotions you're feeling at that time.
Exactly, absolutely.
Definitely learning.
Well, I definitely explored my emotions. Since you just mentioned about the video, of course, was a little bit different. What had happened was last Thursday in the morning, my son was playing rough with one of his classmates. They were rolling on the floor, and all of a sudden, the father was on the school property, and he was yelling like absolute maniac to my kid. And I didn't understood at that moment what he had said. I didn't find it out until later when I spoke to the mom. But apparently he had said that if my son would do that again, he would hit him. So it was a good thing I didn't hear it, but I did hear him screaming, and my son was just standing all of a sudden, just still. I was very happy it didn't, as far as I could see, touch him very emotionally, like he was shocked at like what the heck happened, but he didn't cry, which sometimes happens. So that made me happy. I think, I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to analyze, how to deal with this for him. So yeah, I applied the technique we learned from DG, the deep breathing, 4 in, 4 stop, out, and 4 holding again, and let it go. But yeah, that was an interesting situation that we're still working on. Let's see where it goes. It ended up going to the teacher. So let's see what she said. She was going to talk to him. Let's see what's going on. In the end, it's also what you say. You have to look at the emotions, what's going on. But it's not in that case, our emotions or the emotions of our son. It's also the emotion of the other person, And it's not easy being a single father. Having no job in a position that he's in. So sometimes it's a little empathy, and I know it's not right what he did, but yeah.
Yeah, there could have been a million and one reasons why he was doing that. You never know what's going on in people's lives, do you? But equally, it can make you pretty angry. I'll definitely have a chat with him at some point if you can. But
yeah, I'm thinking about that.
Next. At that time, it wouldn't have been right, but that's just exactly. There's a point where that behaviour is just not acceptable, is it?
No, absolutely. So he has his son 1 week, and the other son, his ex-wife. So I got to wait a week, which is good. Then we're all relaxed. And then the week after that, I'm going to shake his hand and have a little talk, see how it goes. Cool. Hopefully well. So you talked a lot about homeschooling, and you also mentioned that, people around you in your environment, they think you guys are crazy for doing this, and they don't understand how and why, etc. As you know, I've asked this a couple of times already. In America, it's more common. Actually, I have the feeling it's becoming more and more common. But in the UK, and especially in Europe, and especially in Spain, I've never heard of anybody homeschooling their kids in Spain. I'm not even sure if it's legally allowed. But that's beside the point, man. I'm really interested in it because what you guys are doing and what Nietzsche was doing with his kids and what other people are doing homeschooling their kids. It's so interesting. Can you explain a little bit about how that came about? What was your reasoning about it? And what's your vision, your goal with homeschooling your kids?
It came about really from Michelle, and I was a typical. Well, I hadn't actually given any other consideration. It was always going to be my kids were going to go to the local primary school, they were going to go on, they were going to go to secondary school, and that was going to be it. Michelle then started exploring the idea with me, and probably like most people, the first thing that comes in, I loved school. I literally loved every minute of it, predominantly because I loved seeing my mates and I loved sport. That was pretty much it in a nutshell. And I got to do all these sports, and I got to do it all the time, and I got to see my mates throughout the day. That was the main driver. Academically, I was quite fortunate; things came quite easy to me and stuff like that. So I never really was never really out of my comfort. I never woke up in the morning going, "Oh, I've got school today." I never had a day off school unless I was very, very, very ill, like chicken pox or something like that. I never got the playing truant. I never wanted to play truant. I just loved going to school. So I had that mentality. So when Michelle started talking to me, I was like, yeah, socially, what are we going to do though? Because I had a vision that our homeschooling was going to be Michelle at home with Bear all day trying to raise them. So I couldn't get my head around it. She's like, no, there's always groups that you can go to, etc., etc. And if you actually rewind about where high schools came into this, and when people used to go to work from 12 and 13, they used to start working at that point. And high schools were introduced at the Great Depression, at the height of that, when there were no jobs for anyone. So it was a big thing. It's like, oh, I know, let's create a high school, and that will take a load of the population off, and then we don't have to worry about finding jobs for them. We can put them in a certain system, and then we'll go from there. Then if you go down this whole route, and again, it's all beliefs. This is my belief. You go to school, you're there on a start time. The bell goes, you come in, you're in your lesson. The bell goes, it's break time. The bell goes, you're back in the lesson. The bell goes, it's lunchtime. So on and so on throughout the day. And when you during the industrial age, you're going up into work for the first time. So you leave school. The first thing you do is go down the factory. The bell rings. Guess what? You go to school. You go into work. You work until the bell rings. Then it's break time. Then the bell rings, and you're back at work. Then it's lunchtime, etc. So it's really like not institutionalizing, but it's definitely forming those habits that they want you to have throughout life. The other thing that I think schools encourage quite a lot, they don't encourage you to really finish a great deal of stuff. So you'll be in a lesson, you'll be learning maths, you'll be learning English, and then you'll be halfway through the lesson, and then the bell rings, and you've got to close up all your books, put them in your bag, and you've never really finished anything. Yeah, sure, you get some homework, and you go on. Guess that gets you used to doing a bit of overtime as well by doing the homework after school. So there's all that. Coupled with the fact that classroom sizes were getting bigger as being part of Europe. There were a lot of people over from Europe, no problem with that at all, but classroom sizes just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And for me, if you're teaching someone something, there's only one way you can teach. So I get why you have to teach to a classroom size of 30, so you have to get people sat down, you have to talk to them in certain ways because you have to install a lot of discipline. And then when you're at school, you've got the curriculum, you're spending a load of time on history, you're spending a load of time on geography. Sure, if you've got passion about it, let's spend a load of time learning about all these subjects, but actually there's some core subjects you probably need to learn more of. And definitely I think the physical things there as well with that. But there's something more powerful about if you start, if you've got a passion about something and you can learn about maths and history, and you can still learn, I mean, the powerful thing about school is you learn how to learn, aren't you? So you're reading books and you're looking on the internet, you're taught how to do that. Bear can do that now. He can learn maths in a fun way. He can learn how to read in a fun way. He can interpret books in his way. He's so creative, he can create his own stories. He's doing his YouTube videos. What they don't teach at school is they don't teach you economics. They don't teach you how to budget, which is why I'm terrible at budgeting and looking after my money. So I want to teach a bit of that. I've got to teach myself first. So budgeting, all that sort of stuff, timekeeping. You're not taught to timekeep. You just taught to be somewhere at a certain time, not actually manage your own time and do stuff. So there is not one specific reason why we wanted to do it. There was a load of different reasons. Michelle was definitely the instigator And I think the proof's there so far. I mean, going back to what I said at the beginning, if Bear wanted to suddenly say, I want to be a doctor, then we're going to have to look at getting him into school. If he wants to go to school, he can go to school. It's not that we're against schools. I think they're amazing in so many ways, but especially when you're having to teach so many people. But there's so many careers now that you don't need the grades to actually see. I mean, ultimately, here's the thing. So you get in the UK, you do your GCSE, which gets you age of 16. What those grades allow you to do is then do your A levels at the college of your choice. Then you're 18. And what your A level results do is actually allow you to go to the university that you want to do. Then you rack up a load of debt. Then you go to work where actually, even if you've graduated now, you're not guaranteed a job. You've got a load of debt. And even, I mean, I'm not a graduate. I'm a commercial director at a manufacturer responsible for 120 people at our business. That hasn't been from this big education thing. That's been from being hardworking, driven, passionate, and just wanting to achieve something. And that I'm not driven by money or anything like that. I'm just driven by like admiration or results in other ways, and just achieving stuff. So there are a load of the reasons why we chose to go down the home education route. I mean, there was a time when, going right back, you'd be born into money because it was all to do with land. Then it was the rich would get richer and the poor would get poorer. Then it became a little bit further on. It was the rich can be rich, but also the poor can get there eventually if they work it really hard and they do something different. Now we're at an age where a 16-year-old become a millionaire within a week if they land something on social media and just create it. So for me, there's a whole world of education out there which doesn't revolve around schools.
I
was all over the place, but hopefully you get the gist of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the last thing, of course, is the most important thing. I mean, you can go to school all you want, but then there's people that like, well, you say, well, you mentioned 16, but there's also 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds that just do something and make tons of money because they've learned something more valuable what they don't teach you in school. There's so many things that in life are so valuable that you just don't teach in school. What you just mentioned, money, wealth, that's like one of the most important things. They actually said like most marriages fall apart because of the fact that none of them, they're fighting continuously about money, and in school they don't teach that. It's like, really, why?
Yeah, so, actually, the whole thing about people being ashamed of having too much money and people going, oh, don't want to have too much. It's like, actually, it's money that gives you freedom to do anything. So that's how people like Sean can do the traveling so much, etc. Money just gives you freedom. Money can give you experiences. So money is really important. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. Unashamedly, I want to have loads of money. And the thing at the moment, I'm doing a lot of things, and the work that I'm doing now, I've achieved what I've achieved, which is great. You got the 6-figure salary, you got all this, but what could I have achieved if I had ended up following? I stumbled into this when I was into this industry, health and beauty. So I sell moisturizer and shampoo in a heartbeat. I work in the manufacturer, it's a bit more than that, but essentially I'm in that industry, which clearly I'm not cut out for. Love it, but if it was in something that I was loving and passionate about and gave the same amount of energy, and there was that there, God, waking up every day, I mean, I never worry about going to work. I love going to work. But imagine if it was something like you were seriously passionate about, like you're doing now. Amazing. So, anyway, venting.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's why I'm not saying anything. I just let you vent. It's absolutely perfect. And I keep mentioning it as well. They've done a study in the US, and they were saying that 75% of the people that are working in a job are not happy with the job that they're having, which is absolutely insane. But at the same time, that's what they're teaching you at school. You go to school, and then when you're done at school, you get a job. Period.
And if you work really hard for 40 years, you'll be able to enjoy your life for about 5 or 10 when you're actually no longer physically active to enjoy it. So, bonkers.
Exactly. That's why fearless fathers.
If you keep doing the same thing and getting the same results, that's like the definition of insanity, isn't it? So.
Absolutely.
It's kind of that. Yeah.
Plus the fact, you're an entrepreneur, you get to spend your time as you see fit, which means, and that's why for me, a fearless father must be an entrepreneur. Is because how can you be a fearless father or a father in general if you're at your job the whole time? And then
no, exactly. So here's the thing: I want to have more time. So I don't, because we've separated. I don't have to have every other weekend with my kids. I don't have to worry about that. I can see them every single night if I'm home, and every weekend. And the luxury of that is because I've been working, and the money that I've been earning has meant Michelle doesn't have to work. And because Michelle's at work and she gets to spend all that time with the kids. And even then, we've got the money that they can have all these experiences. We've had these holidays. They do all these activities that I described. They're all free. You've got to pay for them, and they love doing them. So you've got all that side. But equally, I don't want to be confined to Monday to Friday for the rest of my life. That will give at some point. But right now, I love my job. It's doing what we're doing. It's allowing me to study and focus on all the other stuff that I want to do. And just.
of course, in the end, sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get to the visions that we want to reach.
Yeah.
Talking about something else, because I want to slip a little bit to what I find very impressive of what you're doing as well is you're doing triathlon, and then you mentioned to me also you're doing Ironmans, which both of them are absolutely insane. You share how much you are training every single day. And people, I am not talking just a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there. We're talking about hours of just focused training, planning it, everything. So first of all, can you explain to the people that maybe don't know it, what is triathlon, what is Ironman? And then also a little bit of, okay, what kind of dedication, discipline, consistency gets into that? How do you plan all that, et cetera, et cetera?
So this is when I'm just going to be launching a little program. It's called Make Time or Make Excuses, and that's really important to me. So you'll see why. And when I describe what I do to colleagues, to friends, to customers that I go out and see, they genuinely believe that I don't have the same 24 hours as everyone else. It seems a little bit bonkers. So triathlon is a single event in the consecutively, and it's you do a swim, you get out of the water, you get on your bike, and then you do a run. The Ironman just takes that up another notch. So you've got varying distances up to it, but the Ironman I like doing is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and then a 26.2 mile run, so a marathon at the end of it.
Wow.
So I think it's about a 3.8 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike ride, and then a 40 kilometer run back to back. And you do that. So if you're going to do that, then obviously there's got to be a lot of training with it. So I train between 15 to 18 hours each week. Then you put that on top of the amount of time that I spend doing with my boys, and you put that on top of the work that I do. So work a 40-hour week. And on top of that, I'm reading a book every 2 or 3 weeks. I listen to podcasts. I watch series on TV and things like that, so I can identify my customers, and actually because I enjoy them. So literally, I'll just give you a real rough line of my week. So wake up at 5 o'clock every morning, and then I do some meditating, box breathing, visualizing in the morning. A bit more reading. That takes me through to about 5:45. 5:45, I've got my green smoothie, get in my car and I drive to the pool, which is an hour away. During that hour, I tend to listen to a podcast or an audiobook. Get to the swimming pool, get in the water at 6:45, swim till 8:15, so an hour and a half a day almost swimming. Get out, have a breakfast, drive to work, start work at 9. Work 9 to 5, leave work, get home, see the boys at 6. This is a typical day. Be with my boys 6 till 8:30, 8 o'clock. So I've gone and played with them. We've gone down the park. They've been playing around my house. They've normally eaten by that point, so that's quite cool. So I don't have to worry about doing that. But I'll have some snacks. Drop them off. They both go to sleep. Get back home. Then I'll do either an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours tops, hour and a half normally on the bike or the treadmill, which is just over here. Or I can go outside when the kids are not here. And then basically Monday to Friday, repeat. So you're up to 2 to 3 hours every single day for 5 days. Come the weekend, I then do a long ride or a long bike in the morning. Again, I can do that. And that, so when I'm on the treadmill in my house, I can literally squeeze a 4 or 5 hour bike in my house if I get up at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning. And that could get us through till 9, 10 o'clock when Bear, he doesn't have to go to bed at a certain time on a weekend because we don't have school or anything like that. So he can stand up late with me if he wants to. Then he can have a sleep in. But either way, then he'll wake up. Then we'll go to he'll do CrossFit and we spend all day doing their stuff. Then of an evening, I can bring the kids back here. I can then go for my run on the treadmill if I haven't done that in the morning. And then Sunday do exactly the same again.
Wow.
That's basically it. So during that time, if I travel down to London for work on the train, I tend to do work on the way down there. If I'm on the tube, I'll be reading a book. On the way back, I'll read. Before I go to bed every evening, I'll be reading a book. And then on a Sunday, I take the boys back. I think I said at the beginning of the video, about 4-ish in the afternoon. So I can do stuff like this. And then I'll just sit down, and that's when I literally plan the week ahead with the work I need to be doing, with the other activities I need to be doing, like podcast videos, doing my own creation for that. So got some big goals. I've just been promoted in my day job, actually. So that'll be cool. That'll be exciting shortly. But yeah, so lots going on, but that's how I squeeze it all in.
Nice.
And I eat all day.
Yeah. The whole day, you said. So every day is eating throughout every single moment you got, right?
Yeah, I'm really fortunate, actually. Most of my meetings revolve around hotels, restaurants, or cafes. So every time I meet with someone, I can actually eat, which is nice. And I'm just getting much more. I tend to go to the shops and just buy food, which is a bit more frustrating. So just getting into some batch cooking ideas and trying to do that on Sunday afternoon is the key. But that's what I do. It's pretty maxed out. So 40 hours a week work, 15, 18 hours a week training, and then time with the boys, and then down to my reading. The good thing is, because I've got the bike and the treadmill set up in here, I can, if it's an hour or a really intense hour or 2-hour session, I'll really focus on what I'm doing. If it tends to be longer and you just put some miles in your legs and stuff like that, I tend to put a movie on, a couple of movies, a couple of series on Netflix and things like that.
Okay.
You need to switch off time, don't you? Otherwise, it's just like reading podcasts, and sometimes you just want to zone out and do nothing. I love the movies. I might go to the movie tonight on my own. I love going to the cinema on my own.
Nice. Yeah, we love movies at our house as well. What I take from what you just explained, and we both follow pretty much a similar schedule of how to plan our week and every day, etc., and our morning routines. So I'm used to this. I hope people are listening. It's so important. But yeah, people always ask, hey, how is it possible that you do so much? Like, where do you get the time from? It's like, well, you plan, and then you also realize what not to do. Like in the end, you really got your time, and that's why I really enjoy hearing. It's like you got every single moment of the day dedicated to something that's important to you, that you're passionate about, instead of just, for example, like a lot of people do, is just lost in Facebook or other social media.
Oh no! Well, here's a big. So I was describing this to someone the other day, and they said, "Well, I get up at 6 o'clock every morning." I said, "Well, what do you do then?" "Well, I don't get out of bed." It's like, "What are you talking about?" So they get up at 6, wake up, and they get out of bed about 7. So I was like, "Well, what are you doing for the hour?" And it's clearly, then they just said, "Oh, I might snooze a bit, or I go on Facebook, Instagram." I mean, I'm an Instagram junkie. That's where all my stuff's shared. So I find the time to do that as well. But that's because I like sharing stuff, and also it's a record of what you've been doing yourself. I mean, I do try and plan a lot. It's not my strong point. So that's why I'm really structured in. It's just creating a habit for me, because I'm not very good at sitting down and really planning out stuff. I know Nia was teaching it, but for me, it's all about, if I plan it for a small amount of time and just get into a routine, I become obsessive because it's a habit. That works for me. It's why I can't coach myself from sport. I pay someone to do my planning for my coaching. So he literally tells me what I'm doing for the next 2 or 3 weeks, because that bit I couldn't do. I wouldn't be structured.
Exactly.
The habits, I think.
Yeah, but that also means that you are very strong at looking at yourself and realizing, okay, these are my strong points, these are my weak points, and then you look for how can I find things that can help me out, up my weak points to become strong points as well. In this case, getting like either a mentor or a coach that helps you with the training. That's
Everyone should have a coach. Everyone should have a coach.
Yeah.
I can't recommend Nii high enough. I know that's who you were with as well. So.
Yeah, we share our love, so to say, for Niji Sobo and recommend him. I'm not you. If not anything, at least listen to his podcast. It's very inspiring. I'm enjoying him and listening to him as much as I can. Talking about Niji and also talking about books, right? You also mentioned you weren't that much of a reader. Honestly, I wasn't either. My parents tried pretty much my whole youth. I mean, our house looked like a library, and what I touched were my father's comic books.
Yeah.
I didn't touch any other books. So my parents were very disappointed. Now they're very happy because I'm reading tons of books, and I'm actually giving them books now to say, hey, this book I read, freaking awesome, you should check it out. I'm just wondering, man, maybe you could share like your 3 top books or the last 3 books that you read that you found really valuable with all fathers out there, so they can see what they are going to read next.
Well, the first, Michelle was telling me to read and read and read. So just ignored that. I never listened at all. I couldn't be bothered reading, really couldn't be asked with it, to be quite frank. It was like, no interest in doing this at all. I'd rather watch something on Netflix. But the first book that got me into reading I was listening to Mark Devine, the Navy SEAL, and I read Unbeatable Minds. That was the one that really got the ball rolling on that side. This is the one currently reading, How Bad Do You Want It?
Mm-hmm.
Which is phenomenal. It's about mastering the psychology of mind over muscle, but it's so much more that it can just help you out in life. And probably one of the, oh man, there's so many. Meditations, actually, I'd put up there with one of my all-time favourite books. So it's like the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. I tap into that one all the time. Just love reading that one, and things like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Love those ones. In fact, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles is probably the one that I've read the most that I've got, because it's quite a small one. So probably that one I recommend to everyone. Meditations, because everyone should want to achieve like the status of Maximus Aurelius, and how he talks about him is phenomenal. And then, How Bad Do You Want It? That's amazing for anyone who's an athlete and who believes in mindset. You can achieve anything is incredible. Equally, this one by Matt Belair is amazing, The Zen Athlete. So just got books everywhere at the moment. But they're probably my highest recommendation. The 50th Law, which you read as well, which is amazing, which I probably gifted to 2 or 3 people already.
Nice. Nice. See, that's what we like. You ask for 3, you get 7 or 8. I couldn't keep
Read
up.
off all the ones on the shelf.
Yeah, that's brilliant, man. I love it. We both started to go from not reading at all to really love reading and finding all the value out of it. I can't repeat it enough to all the fathers out there. Reading is the cheapest way of just leveling up every single time you finish a book. It's that simple.
Well, everyone at my work now, they've been seeing the change in me over the past 12, 18 months. And now they want a library going on at work, because I keep recommending books to people. So our meetings are just getting more and more productive. It's crazy. I say they're getting more and more productive. More and more people start coming out with quotes in the meetings. So that's quite amusing, but it's good to see that people are reading. But it's funny, you see people changing.
Exactly. That's awesome. I love to hear then that you also have that kind of impact at your work office with the steps that you're taking. That's amazing. Listen, we got to the end of our interview. I can't thank you enough, Dan. It's been absolutely.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And I hope people will pick up as much as I have picked up in this hour and hour plus. We went over. I apologize. I know your time is very valuable. There's always a a lot of people that still have some questions and things like that, how can people get in touch with you? How can people follow you? Like you mentioned Instagram, for example.
Yeah, so I'm not a massive social media fan other than Instagram, so probably the way of getting me is at Triathlete Life is my main one that I'm using, and I'm just creating a new one at the moment, which is Make Time or Make Excuses. So you can check out both of those.
Excellent, great. So again, thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate it. I wish everybody a fantastic Sunday, and we will see each other pretty soon.
See you later, buddy. Thanks very much.
Cheers. All right. Take care, everybody.
Are you still meeting up with your friends now that you're a father? Kids making you stress out. You got no time for yourself to work out, read, relax. Can you still remember the time you were hanging out with your friends, feeling energetic, happy and confident? Spending time together and talking about your life and your crazy dreams. You're feeling alone now, don't you? No one to share your challenges with, and you're just running around from one storm into the next. Well, it's time to change this now. Join me and the Brotherhood of Fearless Fathers to speak on a weekly basis with like-minded dads to crush your challenges, face your fears with determination, be held accountable, and regain control of your life. If you want to become the hero your family needs you to be, then go to becomeafearlessfather.com/brotherhood. I'm looking forward to seeing you on one of our next calls.